And welcome back to the studio. That was an exciting match, a whole one-sided wipe once again. So
But
what
not a
went
complete
wrong there?
wipe. Not a complete wipe. The Guardian and the
They didn't kill
Vengeance
everyone.
Oh,
survived.
that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. I totally missed that. I was
they didn't
reading
lose
reading
anything.
Twitter actually, because there was a hilarious tweet which was that Team Cube should stream their voice comms during their match. And I just thought that was so funny that it completely distracted me. But for those that don't know, who weren't here when we talked about it earlier, Team Cube is actually one guy with 8 accounts, flying them all by himself.
Which makes them the team of my heart. I really want to see them do well.
Yep.
But back to the
them,
match.
Him.
That-
See him do well.
Him, yes. But yeah, to this match, let's get the stat screen up and let's roll through it a little bit.
I mean, two very similar teams in a lot of ways. Very controlly, very carefully organized teams. Both of them very solid setups too. I mean, I don't have anything significant to criticize about the We Can't Afford This setup, but just obviously came down to a very small piloting mistake, getting in too close to the guards, and the standoff ended there.
But the thing is, they should have been able to force Rampage to come across. With the strength of those damps on, for instance, those the already short-range logistics frigates, they should have been able to get some positional advantage there. It's just Rampage got into the center of the field, dropped the guards in a control position before We Can Afford This could drop their drones in a strong position themselves. For instance, We Can't Afford This never started shooting the guards in the center. Maybe in a match that long, it would have been a viable tactic there, but it just came down to positioning.
Yeah, I mean, that was great drone dropping from the Rampage team. They started off the match, they dropped bouncers right where they started at the far edge of the arena, or at the far edge of the warp bins, 50 kilometers away. They dropped those, started shooting with those as they moved in, and then when they got about 10 kilometers away from the middle, dropped guards and then pulled back. So they abandoned their first set of drones, but actually didn't care because they just essentially gained position. They moved up and staked their claim in that ground, and that was what held them the match. That essentially became a ball of death that no one could approach.
Exactly.
And that was some really skilled and practiced flying by them as well. They went in there with one thing in mind, that was to do exactly this, and they did it well. And we've seen a lot of this kind of posturing teams. It happens more in the Alliance tournament, back when like Tinker tanks were actually possible, and people kind of postured a lot and kind of just set up their Tinkers on separate sides of the arena and took pot shots at each other. But
I think that these are actually more engaging. So a Tinker setup really works wherever you are, because you're sort of going like, hey, I'll tank the world. I brought this Tinker setup. If you bring a bunch of blasters on me, I'm still going to tank you. I don't care where you are.
Yeah.
But this is the sort of thing where if you get out of position, even a little bit, if you get caught, you're done.
Yeah.
You really can't handle it, especially with all those Ishtars. If you get a couple Ishtars caught out, the rest of the group kites away, and a faster fleet can just sort of take chunks out of you as you sort of try and flee. But Rampage was able to put this tremendous fire base in the middle that really didn't allow any rotation that was made on them. A fleet would have to be so much faster to get around that group and catch up to them in that movement.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they got themselves the best position, and that ended up winning them the match. It was really, really well played on their part.
So I have the bans for the next match, if you're interested.
This is Last Huzzah versus Reputation
Yes,
Cartel.
and these are two tournament, well-versed tournament teams. They've taken part. I remember Reputation Cartel was with us last NEO.
Yep, they're
And,
also mainstays of the Syndicate Competitive League as well.
Yeah, and they're all from Fail Heap Challenge, right?
They tend to be from, I'm not sure if they all are, but they do a lot of they are a lot of people that kind of know each other from a bunch of places, including Fail Heap,
Yeah, so the bands are as follows. Last Huzzah banned the Dominics and the Golem, and the Reputation Cartel banned the Ishtar and the Tash Merkin Magnet.
Really?
Yes.
That
Someone
is
misclicked. What's near the Tash Merkin Magnate in the ship list?
Talos?
Talos?
But why would you ban a Talos? I don't know. My guess is that they just actually didn't need a second ban, and they wanted a comedy ban.
That is true.
I mean, that's a perfectly viable choice in that case.
There's
You're
lots
just
of
looking
other
for
really
comedy.
good comedy bands, though.
I know, you could like ban Concord Battleship or something.
Avatar.
Yeah, for those that don't know, in the banning interface, you get a pick of all the ships in EVE Online,
Including
as far
ships
as I
that
know.
no one can fly, and
Yes.
ships that aren't allowed in the tournament.
Yes. If
Tash
I'm wrong
Merkin-
on that one, then CSP Veritas can correct me on Twitter and hang me out to dry for that one.
No, I
but-
definitely saw a police frigate being banned in the
Yes.
one of the test matches we ran. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the Tash Merkin Magnate is perfectly allowed in the tournament, and it is flyable, but it isn't a great tournament ship. I mean, it's just a special version of a Tech 1 exploration frigate that doesn't have a lot of mid slots, so there's really no reason to bring it.
But with those bans, just banning out the Ishtar, and then on the other side, Dominix and Golem, what do you see these teams bringing?
Those are really hard ones
to say. Those are generic bans. Yeah. Those are just like, you don't want to fight things that are really strong.
Dominix and Golem, maybe if you're bringing like a Sleipnir team, those would be, but...
No, well... I don't know. It's just like, I don't want to play against these things.
I know, there's basically
really
strong bans, and it is really hard to predict what you're going to get from that. Yeah.
There are some bans that you can throw across that just really don't mean anything. They don't give anything away about what you're flying, other than you're not flying those specific two ships.
And which is going to be very positive. I mean, it might be super valuable for you to ban out the like Curse Sentinel when you're coming in here with a Vindicator team.
Yeah.
But that just screams, hey, I'm bringing battleship turrets, and so they might just bring a Arbitrator instead. So not giving away that kind of information has its own value.
Yeah, definitely. So if we go into a little bit who Last Hussar is, what team is that?
It's Last Hussar.
Yeah, it's a Corp Last Hussar. They are a pretty old corp. They've been around in the tournament for quite a while, and just generally they do pretty solidly. They've never been a spectacular tournament team, but they're usually quite respectable in their performances.
We always wonder which tournament will be their Last Hussar. It hasn't been one yet, so I suspect they will continue on after this.
Yeah. And then, Reputation Cartel, not members of any one corp or alliance. It's a group that originally formed on the Failheap Challenge forum, and has just kind of expanded from there. And again, they're a very experienced tournament team, partially because they compete in just about every SCL, which is a great idea for teams that want to get really good at tournaments.
And they control all of the rep on Failheap Challenge. They basically decide who is plus rep and who's negative rep. Rep, by the way, is like upvoting something on Reddit, for those of you who don't know.
Is there really somebody who's going to understand upvoting but not understand rep?
Yes. Almost everyone who uses Reddit, but not a major forum.
So one thing that I'm thinking about, and I kind of want to ask the viewers at home as well, is that if they could choose one ship to see in the tournament that would actually be, that has kind of been used or would have a good application, not something weird that has no purpose at all, what ship and in what role would they like to see? And I'm going to ask you guys the same thing, because like we've seen Battle Badgers and all of these things. Where are there any oddball ships that you can see fit into a like niche team comp that
a super tanking like Stratios team would be pretty cool to see.
Yeah. Well, also, is the Badger 2 still a Badger 2?
No, it's just there's the Badger.
What is it now? Is the Badger 2 the Badger now?
I don't know. Ask Bryce. He's the one that knows about those names.
So what was the?
It's the Tyra. Yeah, the Badger 2 is now the Tyra, and then the Badger
Tyra
is the Badger.
Yes, the Tyra has a ton of mid slots. I've always wanted to see it in a team that has a like really high cap booster.
Yep.
Like it really requires a ton of cap boosters. Dropping cans for cap boosters.
That has been done.
Yes. I know.
Yeah, that was some of the old Tyrax teams used to do that. Yeah.
The Puppet Master teams. They'll never, I'll just control them. They'll never be able to.
Until someone just decides to bring DPS and you fall apart.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm just reading Twitch chat here to see.
I want to hear your ship. Come on.
Yeah.
My ship? I don't know. I like the Venture. I think that would be a hilarious funny thing. I would see.
I read Rix's blog, him saying that the Stay Frosty guys were considering going Battle Ventures.
Well, I remember a blog of in ye old times before the Venture was released that it was going to be the
best tackling ship.
The most OP tackling ship there was.
A certain blogger wrote that all of the best 0-0 tacklers had contacted him and let him know that the Venture would dominate 0-0 tackling forever, and that we were making a terrible balancing mistake.
Strange that they didn't that didn't actually happen.
But yeah, the match is ready. So let's go on to predictions. CCP Fozzie.
I'm gonna go with Reputation Cartel.
Rep Cartel.
Reputation Cartel, it is for me as well.
We're all afraid of being down-repped.
Yes. No downvotes for us.
Help
please.
us. They've got us held hostage.
And good luck.